Hello and welcome back to new episodes from Movies You Missed podcast.
Hey everybody, it's been a long time.
It has. It's been several weeks, the month of July in fact. We are so happy to be back and thank you all so much for either tuning in to our remastered episodes or tuning back in now that we've returned.
Here we are returning for some more new movies.
And old ones as well.
Or just new movies and old ones. And yeah, let's just forget that I just tried to sing something.
No, that sounded really good.
I need to work on my voice. It's been a while. Welcome back, everybody. Don't worry about what I just did.
As a reminder, I'm V.
And I'm John.
And not only have we been friends for over 27 years, but we are also both film industry veterans, here to bring you movies every week without spoiling them. We love doing this show, and we're so happy to be back. And in order to celebrate that, we've decided to pick a genre that needs a little bit more of our attention. We mentioned this a couple times during our remastered episodes. We are talking about rom-coms.
Rom-coms. Not many of those here on Movies You Missed podcast.
Or westerns, and we're trying to resolve that issue by coming in strong our first week back with rom-coms. I'm so excited for both these picks, especially because I had only ever seen your movie once before.
Oh, and I actually had only ever seen your movie once before. This is perfect.
And we're going in chronological order this week.
Chronology is important.
Still
Not
singing.
really, but at the same time, yeah, I don't know what the hell is going on.
He's really excited to be back, folks, okay?
Yeah, that's probably what it is, especially to discuss my movie, which not a lot of people apparently have seen that I've talked to over the last couple of months.
It's a little bit of a divisive movie as well, so I'm really excited to get into it.
Yeah.
Luckily, John is going first this week, so we won't have to wait too long. But before we get into that, we love to discuss the new movies we've seen in theaters or on streaming this week. We did that during the weeks of our remastered episodes, if you guys tune in for that. So we did keep up with the new movies we've seen. Please feel free to go back through those remastered episodes in the beginning for our intros to hear us discuss the new movies we have seen over the last couple weeks. And so it's time for us to discuss that again this week. John, have you seen anything new?
I have. I watched 3 movies in theaters and 1 on streaming over the last week.
Awesome.
Yeah, so let's start with the movie that made me feel like I dropped so many IQ points. I was impressed that I was able to actually walk out of that theater because I hated it so much. This is the new rehash of the slasher film from 1997 starring Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. This is I Know What You Did Last Summer. I don't know who else is in this movie because I couldn't care less who these actors are. They're all terrible, and the movie is terrible, and do not waste your time on this terrible, 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 terrible movie.
Called that one.
Yeah. I genuinely had some good laughs, though, because it was just that stupid.
Oh, well, at least you got that out of it.
Yeah. The other film I watched was it was in theaters over the last several months, but it is now currently on streaming. I think I watched it on Peacock. I watched the new Blumhouse-produced film about the woman that goes on a first date and keeps getting strange random drops to her phone.
Ooh.
The film is called Drop, if you couldn't have guessed that.
God, how many times did we see that trailer in theaters at the beginning of this year?
Oh, yeah. A ridiculous
30?
amount of times. Probably. And by seeing it that many times, I kind of put the movie together. And it's really not... it's not bad. It's certainly not great, but it is far better than I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Okay, so mediocre.
Yeah, a bit on the mediocre side.
Alrighty.
These last 2 films I saw in theaters, both of these films are opening weekend films. I've actually already seen one of them twice, and I will talk about that one shortly. But before I do, I want to talk about Liam Neeson's comedic turn in The Naked Gun.
Oh, God, I hope this is good.
Oh, it's so good. It is fantastic.
Yes.
It is absolutely hysterical. My dad and I were absolutely having a great time. There's probably 7 minutes in the hour and 25 that are like, all right, this isn't that funny. Let's get to the funny again. And they come back with the funny at full force. It is hysterical. Please see this movie. Liam Neeson in comedy certainly works very, very well.
I really want to see that film. I'm glad it's good.
I think you should. And Pamela Anderson was great, too. Everybody was great.
And
it was a completely great time.
now they're together.
I know. That's crazy.
It's so cute.
Good for him.
Yeah.
And good for her, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the last film I want to talk about, I saw it twice already, like I said, twice in less than 5 days. I went on my own, and then I took a buddy of mine with me. This is Alison Brie and Dave Franco in Together.
Knowing that they're married in real life, do you think this is a weird movie for them to make?
No, not at all.
Okay. I was curious.
It is a completely insane flick. There are some really disturbing moments. There are some really chilling moments, and then there are some hysterical moments, and it is absolutely a 2 thumbs up film for me. Certainly one of the better movies of 2025 in the horror genre. I highly recommend it. I thought they both were great together, and I do love me some Alison Brie. So I had a really good time with it, and it seems like my buddy did too, and everybody that's seen it so far has been having a great time with it.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear it. Since it's body horror, I'm not sure if I'm gonna approach that film. I haven't decided yet.
Yeah. Well, if you do, I think you'll have a good time with it.
Okay.
So that is what I saw in theaters and on streaming over the last week. V, maybe next week you'll have a few under your belt that we can talk about.
I certainly hope so.
Me too.
And clearly, John and I are very excited to be back and talking about movies again, so let's dive right in with John's pick. John, why don't you kick us off?
All right, let's do it. I'm going to start us off with a movie from 2009. I've loved this movie ever since I saw it. I never had the actual experience of seeing this in the theaters. I really wish I did. This movie stars Zooey Deschanel, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Chloe Grace Moritz, Matthew Gray Gubler, and a whole handful of other people. This film is written by Michael Weber and Scott Neustadter. This is directed by Mark Webb. This is 500 Days of Summer.
I love how this story is told.
Me too. I know, like you said, this is your second time seeing this movie, which is kind of crazy to me because your movie only came out just a handful of years ago, and this movie is almost 20 years old. We got 4 more years and it'll hit the 20-year mark, which is absolutely insane. But this movie is told in a non-linear fashion, which I really like about this movie in particular. I love that we meet Tom, and I love the opening narrative as well. We are, you know what? I'm just going to let him explain it.
Tom meets Summer on January 8th. He knows almost immediately she's who he's been searching for. This is a story of boy meets girl. But you should know up front, this is not a love story.
Do you know what's funny is that another Joseph Gordon-Levitt movie opened with a narration explaining what exactly is going on. Do you remember that movie?
I do, yes. That would be Looper, one of your previous picks.
That's right.
This is I think the third movie that we've discussed Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and 2 actually have been previous picks of yours with Looper and 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yes, that's right. Big fans here.
Yes, and big time. And there's actually a line very similar to what Joseph Gordon-Levitt says in 10 Things I Hate About You in 500 Days of Summer about pretty girls being able to get away with whatever they want.
Oh, yeah. Wow. He says it in a very different tone in this movie.
In a way he does, but I kind of feel like it's the same sort of inflection because not only is he saying it to Larissa in 10 Things I Hate About You, where she just doesn't want to go sailing with him, this is another one of those moments in 500 Days of Summer where he's talking to a friend of his and he hears a rumor about how she's a bitch, and he's like, well, how come beautiful women just feel like they can treat people the way that they are because they're beautiful? So it's kind of exactly in the same vein, really.
It really is. It's just that in this movie, 500 Days of Summer, he's saying it in a much more cynical way because he is 10 years older than he was in 10 Things I Hate About You. Not only him, but his character. So it's an interesting evolution of that line.
All right, yeah, no, that's actually a very solid point. So 500 Days of Summer begins with us meeting Tom Mackenzie and his friend Paul, and also Tom's younger sister Rachel, played by Chloe Grace Moritz, who I've had the pleasure of working with on a very short Funny or Die project for one day with Clark Duke. It was a lot of fun. Getting back to 500 Days of Summer, we learn that Tom is now having some sort of internal issue with the fact that he and Summer are now on the just friends path, if you will. We meet up with Tom and Summer, and we find out that, like I mentioned before, this story takes place in a very nonlinear fashion, but we are meeting Tom in a very rough patch of this 500 days of having met Summer in his life. He starts explaining what has been going on over the last couple of weeks with Summer, and his sister and his friend Mackenzie and his friend Paul are really just kind of diving in and trying to figure out what exactly they can do to help Tom just kind of get out of this rut of Summer may not exactly be the girl for him. Also, there's a little bit of early narration where we find out that Tom, from his childhood, has been growing up with the idea that romantic songs, romantic movies, and romantic sitcoms are how you're going to meet your soulmate, how you're going to meet the one that you're going to fall in love with, and the one that's going to be for you. So when he meets Summer, he pretty much takes off in his own mind that she is the one that he's been searching for. Unfortunately, that is not the mindset that Summer Finn, who is played by Zooey Deschanel, shares with Tom, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt. However, there is a mutual attraction between both of them, and they start to hook up, and they start to hang out, and they start to spend a lot of time together in a very couple fashion. And this is very confusing for Tom because he feels like maybe he's the one for her, and she feels like he is the one for her because she is doing all of these things that she's never necessarily done with another man before.
And we're talking about relationship status, not sex.
Exactly, yes. And that is a completely different thing.
Yes, they both have different perspectives on this for sure.
Absolutely. And I can't fault either of them because I've been in both of their shoes. And I feel like, V, you very likely have as well.
Oh, absolutely. And there have been many times where I've either told someone very specifically, hey, I'm not looking for a relationship. And as you've said, I've been on the other side as well, wondering these mixed signals and what the heck this person really wants because they seem to not really be interested, but they keep asking me out. What exactly are they thinking? And so, yeah, you're right. It's funny because that was not the way I was looking at this movie until about 5 seconds ago when you said that.
Oh, interesting. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you more
as
in a
I've
second.
watched this... No, I'm curious. Because as I've watched this movie over the last 15 years now, I have really come to completely back both of these characters up.
Like I said, until about 5 seconds ago, I would have disagreed with you. But yeah, I actually think that you're right. You're right. There are mixed signals being given in some ways. Okay, let's just talk about it now because
there are. Well, that's the thing is like there is and there isn't because Summer does tell him very explicitly that she's not looking for anything serious
from the beginning.
He's like, great, let's keep it casual, and then it spirals into this complete rabbit hole of him completely falling in love with her. And not that she's not having a great time with him, she is just not of the mind that she's going to settle down with Tom.
Or anyone. She said at the very beginning,
or anyone.
I'm not interested in marriage. I'm not interested in a relationship. Let's not make things complicated. They do get physical. She does start doing things that are relationship-like. And
Absolutely.
So I could understand how he could get confused because what she's saying and what she's doing are two different things or can be interpreted as two different things. But again, I want to go back to her words. And that's why I've always sided with Summer, especially when all these incel neckbeards online call her the bad guy when they talk about this movie.
Oh, yeah.
That she was
as I've gotten older...
Right?
She is not the bad guy.
She is not the bad guy.
She's not at all.
Very honest from the beginning, very specific in what her needs are and what her interests are. And Tom just takes any little thing that she gives him and runs with it.
Yeah. Which I've been on that receiving
end.
Yes, me too.
I totally have too.
And I think that's why this movie is so well done and so brilliantly acted and written. Like we were talking about before we started rolling, there is a moment right before the credits begin where there's a whole like, this is a complete fictionalization except for you, Jenny Beckman, bitch. That is, Jenny Beckman is a real person. Scott Neustadter actually lived through a very similar situation that Tom and Summer go through. And I think it's absolutely beautiful that he put it to a screenplay because not only is this movie hysterical and very heartbreaking at times, it's also a slap in the face to really just be like, why can't we just fucking live and enjoy each other and not
put labels on it?
Be like who we are.
Yes.
Yeah. And that one moment when he's like, we don't have to put a label on it, but I just want this and I want that. And she's like, I like you, Tom, but I just don't. It's a very complicated situation for two adults, consensual adults, to really go through, especially if you're somebody like Tom, who, again, I have been, and I've been Summer, and V, you have been both of these people, and so many friends of mine have been both of these people as well, and I have met so many men that are like Summer, and so many women that are like Tom, and vice versa. It is truly one of my favorite movies of so many years, and not only because of the cast and the way that it's written, you should be warned that this is not a love story. And I will never forget the first time I watched this movie, I bawled my eyes out. I cried so much because I was a single dude. I had just broken up with a very serious girlfriend, and I was like, holy shit, I am Tom. I'm never going to be anybody else.
I'm going to be alone forever.
And then, of course, a few years later, I'm Summer, and I have a woman that's in my life that's very much like Tom. And then years later, it's vice versa. It's just so well done and so well written. And we might as well just for the rest of the movie at this point, because we kind of got off on a little bit of a tangent, but for the rest of this movie, we're watching Tom try and figure out a way for him and Summer to be together where everything is completely one-sided for both of them. And we learned that things that Tom is experiencing are completely different than the way that Summer is experiencing them. And I think that is one of the most brilliant parts of this movie. There's a sequence in this movie that is expectations and reality. I've never seen anything more brilliant in a romantic comedy in my life. And the Regina Spektor song Hero that is used in that sequence is absolutely perfection. And I'm curious, V, like you said, this is the second time. We've already gotten into it a little bit, but I love this movie. I will watch it until the day I die. My wife hates this movie. And so many female friends of mine really do not like this movie because they hate Tom. It's like, you got to look at it from both sides. So, V, as the woman, lay it on me. What's going on? Did you like the movie your second time around? Who's right? Who's wrong? It sounds like you already side with both. It's really one of those movies that just kind of rolls the dice and you're like, who are you today? Who are you going to be in a year from now, etc.?
Yes, I remember watching this movie right after it had come out. I'd heard a lot of buzz about it. I wanted to watch it. I enjoyed it for the most part, but I was in my 20s back at the time, so it didn't really hit as well as it hit this time. And then all of this online discourse happened, and then I started to hate the movie. And I'm wondering if all these women in your life who hate it for the same reasons, which is not the movie, but the discourse around it. That's one of the reasons why I hate The Wolf of Wall Street. It's a great film, but all of this toxic fandom attached to it makes me hate the film. And so I'm wondering
I gotcha. Okay.
if there's a little bit of a bleed over about 500 Days of Summer and the gross, toxic conversations around it, which makes it have a negative connotation to a lot of women.
That is a very solid point. That's a great, when I told Amy I was going to watch, I was like, I got to watch 500 Days of Summer. My wife goes, gross. And I was like, whoa,
there you go. And so
what is so gross about this movie?
Because for a long time, I really thought of Tom as someone who was the quote-unquote nice guy. Oh, if I'm just going to be nice to you, you should love me. But now, watching it, now that I'm older, and I think there's an issue with always watching a movie, or just any story, however way you consume it, there's a good guy and a bad guy. So if there's only two of them, somebody's got to be the bad guy. And that's not the case in this movie. This is just
I completely agree.
A story about adults. Nobody has to be the bad guy. What I always say, a saying I actually love to use when it comes to relationships, he's a good guy, he's just not good for you. That being said, I think this movie only works because it's told in a nonlinear fashion. I think it would be boring as hell if there was continuity to it.
I kind of agree with you. I feel like it's got the Memento effect. Like, if you really watched it linearly, you'd be like, fuck this.
This is so boring.
This is not a good movie.
Yeah, I'm watching an excruciating relationship implode. Okay. This is not working for me. So, yes, I think the way it was edited is so crucial to this being a good film. And you're right. Zooey Deschanel, remember when they had just a chokehold on us in the early 2000s? The two of them together.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody was obsessed with. And this movie really reminded me of that as well. So yes, now watching it for the second time, I love this film. I think it's incredibly well done. I absolutely love Chloe Grace Moretz. She was my favorite part of the entire movie.
Yeah.
Well, my favorite character.
Fantastic.
My favorite part of the entire movie was the expectation versus reality scene. You're right. It is brilliant. I think even if you don't want to watch this movie, go on YouTube and watch the expectation versus reality scene of this film. It's so well done. I love how this is real life and they make it interesting. There's a great montage with a Hall & Oates song that I love too.
Oh, yeah. So good.
The rest of the soundtrack is great. I really love this film. I think it's very beautiful. I always thought that they were in Chicago, and I always forget that they're actually in Los Angeles because it's shot in all the pretty parts of LA where there's actual trees.
Solid point. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of green in downtown. You just got to really know where to look for it.
You really, really do. As two people who lived in LA for a combined 20-something years. So, yes, I like this movie more now. Thank you so much. I never, ever would have watched this movie again if you hadn't put it on the list.
Oh, awesome. I'm glad I was able to reignite your interest in this movie. It is one of those movies where every time I watch it, I'm just kind of like, I pick up something new. And even when Tom is talking to his sister and she's like, I think you were really only focusing on the good parts, really look back at like
good.
what was going on. Absolutely incredible. There's a moment where he gets an email from her and we find out that they haven't seen each other in like a year. And she's like, I hope this means you're ready to be friends. And then the expectations versus reality thing. And then they end up being together at a ex-colleague's wedding, and there's just so many things that really just grab you not only by the heartstrings but the brain strings, and you're kind of like, I have literally been in this situation so many times, and it's just fantastic. I'm glad that Yeah, exactly. But yeah, everybody just completely delivers in this movie, and even the supporting cast, like all of the colleagues that he works with at the greeting card company are fantastic. One of my favorite moments is when he's really down on his luck and he's telling Millie that her card work is shit with her cats, and he's like, if that cat goes for it, that's a dead cat. I love that moment. It's just hysterical, and it's completely 100% a slice of life. I'm glad to not only be the only one on this podcast. I knew that you would have experienced both sides of this in the past, but I'm sure our audience that maybe has never seen this movie or has seen this movie before, unfortunately, this movie will remind you of somebody just like both of these people.
Yes.
And you know what? That's okay. We're here to remind you of movies, not anybody else in your life. But hey, you know what? That doesn't mean you need to get on Instagram and start messaging them right now. That does not. That's not what this episode's for.
Do not.
This episode is to introduce you to. This is to introduce you to 500 Days of Summer, a fantastic movie. Yes. So I'm glad to hear that you enjoyed it for your second time. It kind of baffles me that this is your second time, but at the same time, I kind of get it. I actually was introduced to this movie by my parents when it was first released on DVD. And they're like, have you seen this movie? I said, no, I've never seen it. They let me borrow it because they had the DVD, and I took it home, and like I said, I cried my eyes out because I was like, this is absolutely incredible. But regardless, 500 Days of Summer, 2 thumbs up. We both agree. We'll get into some BTS in the moment, but I'm curious, V, if you have anything else to add before I jump into BTS.
Yes, I do. I have one thing.
All right, great.
You need to talk about the credits of the director of this movie.
Oh, yeah, Mark Webb. Yeah, he has one of the worst movies of 2025 that actually was released this year of pretty much of all time, the live-action version of Snow White. Mark Webb, you really dropped the ball with that one, my friend. You did a great job with this one, and I enjoyed The Amazing Spider-Man. I didn't love it, but it wasn't bad. I really enjoy his work in this one, and it's really unfortunate that he directed Snow White.
All right, let's get into some BTS then.
Yes, let's do it. Like I mentioned before, this is based on somewhat of a true story by the screenwriter Scott Neustrad. Jenny Beckman was a real person in his life, and 75 to 80% of 500 Days of Summer actually happened to this screenwriter. So that's pretty insane. And watching it this time around when they're at IKEA the couple of times.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Oh my God, those
might be the realest shit.
Yes. Oh my God.
Might be the realest shit in the entire movie. The whole our sinks are broken. I love that whole thing, and they're pretending that I've been there many times.
Yep. And you know what? Even if you've only been dating for a couple weeks, it's a great date location because it's a wonderful test of the two of you and how you mesh well together or not.
Exactly.
Similar to a road
yes.
trip.
To see where each other's
tolerances
you can see where each other's
are.
Exactly. Yes, and sense of humor is at the same time.
Yes.
There's a sequence in this movie several times that pops up that's very documentary-like, where a lot of the characters are talking about love and their significant others. And that whole thing was almost deleted by the studio, but Mark Webb and the writers were very adamant about keeping that in. And I really like the fact that they kept it in because not only do you get a little bit more about the supporting characters, especially Mackenzie and his friend Paul, which I love Paul's whole thing about his girlfriend Robin being the one that he met in elementary school, and how if he had a dream girl, I'm just going to let him talk about it.
I think technically the girl of my dreams would probably have a really bodacious rack, maybe different hair. Probably, she'd probably be a little more into sports, but truthfully, Robin's better than the girl of my dreams. She's real.
And I think Paul is such a good friend because he's supportive but also very honest and calls out Tom when he needs it.
Oh, yeah. Love that. That whole sequence when he calls him over and he shows up and he's like, is this the girl you've been obsessing over the whole time? Oh, man, come on. What did you finally get something going on? And, right before she comes out, he says something about stalking her. And then I'll just let Summer lead into this one. It's so funny.
If you heard any of,
Heard what?
nothing. Really, you want to go?
Yeah, I'm stalking. I'm starving.
So fantastic.
I
And I love how she
that.
comes out just like trying to be so oblivious, just like looking left and right in the room, like, oh, what's going on here? Trying to be a little ditzy, but clearly having known what exactly was said in that room was hysterical to me.
I loved that joke so much. It was so well written.
Oh, yeah. This was listed as one of the Blacklist screenplays, one of the most liked screenplays of 2006. That never got made, but just a few years later, luckily it did get the budget and was turned into the fantastic film that we're discussing today.
I think it's better as a 2009 film than 2006. I think it had the right cast and the right director, because this definitely could have gone... think about it. This script, if in the wrong hands, could have gone the raunchy comedy route instead of the drama route.
Oh, yeah, totally. I can only imagine what that would have been like if it were an R-rated sort of raunchy
I'm
comedy
thinking
instead
Seth
of...
Rogen and Jonah Hill in it.
Totally. Absolutely, yeah. The original screenplay of this movie ended up being set in San Francisco, but the producers thought that it would actually work better in Los Angeles. And I have been to majority of the locations that are in this movie, except for the park that he shows Summer, where he's sitting on the bench and he draws
where the hell is that park?
skyline on her forearm. I don't know. I have tried to find it, and I never could find this place. But the fact that it exists is great. And
Does
like
it though?
you mentioned,
Because it looks like it wasn't LA, and I would not be surprised if.
Oh, it totally looks like LA to me.
No,
It looks
funny.
like it's more like Chinatown, like almost near Chinatown, but
maybe.
not exactly Chinatown. Kind of towards Union Station, where Los Angeles City, I think it's Angel City Brewery is. Kind of in that realm. It feels like that's where it is. But again, I haven't really done the most research that I can.
Given Tom's interest in architecture, it makes sense that originally this was written in San Francisco because there's better architecture in San Francisco.
Yeah, there is a little bit of... I would agree that San Francisco is a little bit better to look at architecturally. That's one thing about Tom that we learn early on, is that he originally wanted to be an architect, similar to Ted Mosby in How I Met Your Mother, but he is currently writing greeting cards for a greeting card company.
Ted is
he's
way more of a douche than Tom, though. I hate Ted.
Oh, that's
so
for sure.
much.
I am in
sucks.
the middle of. I just started season 7 of How I Met Your Mother. That's one of my favorite sitcoms of all time. And every time I rewatch it, I'm like, my God, Ted is such a little pansy ass bitch in this this
he's
freaking show.
Such
Everybody else is fantastic.
classic
but, yeah,
nice
Amy
guy.
won't even watch it. Yeah, won't watch it with me anymore because
Robin
she can't
and Barney
stand
forever.
Ted. Robin and Barney forever. I don't know about that. I would just say Marshall and Lily forever.
Oh, definitely.
And
They were a couple
I
goals.
like all the characters. I really do. I love that sitcom, but we're not here to talk about that because we're here to talk about movies. So a little bit more about 500 Days of Summer. Very unfortunately, the DVD didn't have any behind the scenes. It didn't have any making of documentary, which I truly was very upset about. So I really don't have a whole lot else to talk about with 500 Days of Summer other than the fact that both V and I clearly are big fans of this movie. It had a budget of $7.5 million. The domestic gross, V, I'm curious if you can take a guess on the domestic gross for 500 Days of Summer. 2009, Zooey Deschanel, Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
I remember this being popular. $37 million.
Me too. You said 37?
Yeah.
Whoa, all right. You were $5 million off. $32.3 million.
Turning a new leaf after
Yeah.
coming back from hiatus. Maybe this means I'm actually guessing right again.
That is a great number for a $7.5 million budgeted movie. Absolutely hats off to everybody involved. The gross worldwide, V, what do you think?
God, now there's pressure because I was really close the first time.
Yep.
$65 million.
Ooh, you were off by another $5 million. It was a $60 million worldwide box office. That's great.
I'm glad we're recording this.
Yes.
Everybody knows I got
So
it
it did
right,
very
finally.
well, both worldwide and domestically.
Great.
I'm very happy for it, and I'm happy just in general because I am a big fan of this movie. Now, 2009, I have done that year before, but V, I'm curious if you remember what the highest grossing domestic box office film of 2009 was. You and I saw the sequel in theaters.
Avatar.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we don't really need to get into too much of 2009. But yes, Avatar was the highest grossing film of 2009. And we are on the precipice of Avatar 3 Fire and Ash coming out this December. So looking forward to it. I have not seen the trailer yet.
Oh my God, I told you the other day to watch it because I need to talk to you about it.
I've been to the movies twice since then, and I still haven't seen the trailer, so I'm holding out to hopefully see the trailer in the theaters. If I don't
YouTube
see
is
it
your
by
friend.
tomorrow night...
Watch it on YouTube.
All right, I'll watch it when we hang up here. I'll watch it when we hang up here.
We need to talk about it.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
So that is 2009. That is my pick for this Return to Movies You Miss podcast with rom-coms. 500 Days of Summer. It literally was just taken off of Hulu last Friday because Friday was August 1st. So if you do want to check it out, you will have to rent it on Amazon. I have a DVD copy of it. I don't know if I would get a 4K. Unless this showed up on Criterion with a whole bunch of awesome special features, I will likely just keep my DVD copy. But I am very glad, V, that you enjoyed it for your second viewing. It's one of my favorite films of all time. And I wanted to mention that my wife and I actually last week on Thursday, July 31st, were able to hear every song from this soundtrack that is sung by Regina Spektor live when we saw her last week in town. And Regina Spektor puts on an incredibly elegant, adorable, fantastic show. Not only do I love this movie, but this movie turned me on to Regina Spektor, and now my wife and I have gotten to share the experience of seeing Regina Spektor live, and it was incredible. So I think it is time to jump a few years ahead, actually 10 years, because I believe yours came out in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get into your pick this week for the Return of Movies You Miss podcast. Take it away, V.
I think this is a perfect movie for our return because not only does it take place in San Francisco, ironic,
Yeah.
but also because this movie opens up with a David Bowie song.
Yeah. Look at that. We haven't mentioned Bowie in a long time.
Yeah, but he will never leave our podcast no matter how long it takes in between mentions. And it's doubly meaningful because back when I was a teenager, I played saxophone and backup vocals for this song. We played it live.
Nice.
Yeah. They even wrote about us in the local paper. It was great.
Hey.
So, Young Americans by David Bowie. And I am talking about the 2019 Netflix-produced Always Be My Maybe. This movie stars Ali Wong, who hasn't been in a ton because she's a comedian, but she has a ton of stand-up specials on Netflix. If you are comfortable with a little more raunchy comedy, it's definitely on the raunchier side. Highly recommend her stand-up specials. They are hilarious.
Can confirm. Very, very funny stuff. Ali Wong is hilarious.
She plays Sasha. She also wrote this movie along with her good friend Randall Park, who plays Marcus in this film.
Yeah.
He's been in a bunch. He's actually becoming more and more recognizable because not only did he star in Fresh Off the Boat, a hilarious sitcom that was on for several years, but also he was in Veep for about 13 episodes. I think it was actually an entire season. And he's been popping up in a lot of Marvel and DC movies recently. He plays, he plays either a scientist in the DC movies because he's been in the Aquaman films, or he plays an agent in the Marvel movies, including Ant-Man, WandaVision. So he's really been making the rounds. Randall Park is awesome.
I do like him. I don't remember him in any of those movies, but that's great.
They're both very funny people. And like I said, they've been friends for a while. And so they sat down and wrote this movie together and decided to star in it. And this movie is about two San Francisco locals who grow up next door to each other and are best friends since they are little kids. Ali Wong playing Sasha. Her parents are a bit absent. They run a store and they work really, really hard at it. So she's left alone most of the time. And it turns out as they're growing up, she starts spending more and more time at Marcus's house with Marcus and his parents. And his mom actually teaches Sasha how to cook. And she falls in love with cooking, something that is a completely foreign concept to me because I hate cooking.
Oh, yeah. I'm not the biggest fan. I'm not very good.
I love baking. Hate cooking. And
oh, okay. Got it.
I like the scientific aspect of baking. I don't have the riz for cooking, so
I gotcha.
No intuition. So Sasha falls in love with cooking because Marcus's mother teaches her how to do it. And they grow up together, and even as teenagers are best friends. There's so many wonderful little flashbacks of their lives as they're growing up, and the kids who play the young versions of these people are so adorable. Great shots of San Francisco, wonderful locations that they filmed at. A lot of recognizable locations for any of you who are either native to San Francisco or spent any time there. And at one point when they're both teenagers, unfortunately Marcus's mom dies. And this really sets him into a deep depression, completely understandable. And
Oh, yeah.
Sasha tries to comfort him, and it takes a while, but he starts to come back around. But unfortunately, two things happen. Not only do they talk a little bit about their feelings for each other and end up having sex, but also they have a pretty big falling out. And Marcus really lashes out because his mom has died. And it's an understandable scene. It's a painful scene, but you can, again, understand both sides of it, right?
100%.
And so this falling out is pretty serious, and they don't talk to each other for over 10 years. And Marcus really becomes quite listless and directionless. He stays at home. He is using the excuse of taking care of his dad, who has diabetes. Just becomes really unmotivated. He has the same car he always had. He smokes a lot of weed. He's in a band. He's actually really creative, though, and his band is awesome. But he stays at home. Sasha, on the other hand, though, she is doing great. She grows up and becomes a world-famous chef. She is all over magazines. She's a little celebrity. She's dating a celebrity as well. And things are just going really well for her. She keeps opening up restaurants in different big cities. And now her team has decided that she needs to open up a restaurant in her hometown of San Francisco. So for the first time in over 10 years, Sasha is going home. So Sasha comes back to San Francisco, and her team has rented her a very nice house. Holy shit.
Oh, yeah.
And unfortunately, this coincides with her fiance, Brandon, who's, oh God, played by Daniel Day Kim. He is so hot. Daniel Day Kim played Jin in Lost. He was in that show the entire time. He also is the head of Candor, the really honest group in Insurgent, out of the Divergent movies. He also starred in most of the run of the reboot of the show Hawaii Five-0.
Ah, okay.
And so Sasha and Brandon are engaged, but unfortunately he has told her that they should really take a break and spend about 6 months apart to decide whether or not they're really right for each other and go forward with the wedding from there. And the way he talks about it, you could tell he's such a douche.
Oh, yeah.
He starts posting online, and so unfortunately Sasha quickly realizes that he really doesn't love her and they're really never going to get married. And so they break up pretty quickly after she gets back to San Francisco. And this is when her team makes an appointment for some HVAC and air conditioning work at her rental house. And who shows up but Marcus and his dad?
Mm-hmm.
And I love this reunion because it's so awkward, and that is so realistic.
It is so hilarious.
Sasha, hey,
So funny.
hi, how you doing?
Yeah.
What's up? Yeah, ooh, yeah.
Time has passed, and now we are here in the time that has passed. So good.
Oh God, yes, it's a really well written scene, and also acted perfectly by both Randall Park and Ali Wong.
We got to give a shout out to Michelle Buteau as well, who plays Veronica, her assistant. She's just standing there, and she is hot.
I love Michelle Buteau so much. She's hilarious too.
Oh yeah,
she is the new Judy Greer, because she's the sassy best friend or assistant in every movie that's great recently. Because she did it. Oh,
great.
Yeah, she did it in this. She did it in Marry Me, the J-Lo movie that I picked actually a couple years ago.
Oh my God, that's right.
She also was the sassy friend in Happiest Season.
Yes, that's right. I actually liked Happiest Season quite a bit. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, it was solid. And so, yes, Michelle Buteau, I'm a huge fan of hers. I love her in this movie so much. She's great. And so she's really encouraging Sasha to talk to Marcus and knows about her past with Marcus. And Sasha's like, no, there's way too much history there. And she's like, come on, be friends again. And so now we're following along as Sasha and Marcus start to get reacquainted. And it's so funny because there's a moment when Marcus is working on some things on her house, and Sasha's on the phone with a business contact. And she hangs up, and he starts giving her a bunch of shit about her phone voice. And I love it.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
So much, because I've talked to my sister Shannon about this repeatedly. And I'm like, oh, yeah, you're using your phone voice.
Perfect.
We sometimes have one.
Yeah, there are phone. Absolutely. I have one. That's for sure. Even if I'm just sending you a voice note, it's completely different than what I sound like right now.
Is. It's true. Oh, my God. And then Michelle Buteau walks in. She's like, why are you using your phone voice on me?
So good.
So after all this awkwardness between them, Marcus and Sasha actually start hanging out again together, and they start becoming friends again. And it's so wonderful to see these people who've known each other since they were really little finally start letting their walls down and talking again after a long time apart and some pretty hurt feelings. And this is where we're introduced to Marcus's girlfriend, Jenny, who is a bit of a nut, but classic Bay Area.
Oh, yeah.
So as we move along and through a lot of encouragement through their friends and family, including Marcus's dad, who's played by James Saito, he was Pierce Brosnan's manservant or assistant butler in the Thomas Crown Affair.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, that's why I recognize
Oh, very
him from.
cool.
Yeah, he's been in a bunch of stuff. And so not only is Marcus's dad, but everybody else really encouraging them and saying, look, you guys always seemed like you would have been so good together. Why didn't you ever get together? And why don't you try to date and things like that? Especially because nobody really likes his girlfriend, Jenny.
Yeah.
And Marcus starts to think about it too. But unfortunately, this is the moment where we get a cameo that rivals even Tom Cruise's cameo in Tropic Thunder. I'm not going to tell you who it is.
It rivals it. Yeah, it rivals it. I don't think it tops it,
No,
but
it
it
definitely
definitely
doesn't
is
top
a
it.
rivalry.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you who it is. And please don't watch the trailer. Don't watch the trailer either because it spoils it. But when Ali Wong and Randall Park were writing this movie, he was always their number one choice.
Oh, that's awesome.
They wanted an iconic Asian American who would be Marcus's worst nightmare to be dating Sasha. And they
That's great.
really hit it out of the park. So all of a sudden, Sasha now has this amazingly famous man who's on her arm, and Marcus is losing his mind. But it also puts into clarity a lot of Marcus's feelings too. And so now, for the rest of the movie, Sasha and Marcus have to navigate their huge history together, a lot of baggage that they have, not only together but separately, because Sasha has this whirlwind life that she doesn't ever really face her feelings or emotions, and she's always kind of been closed off because she had a bit of an absentee childhood. Marcus never really has dealt with his mother's death and has always been scared to put himself out there since then. And that's why he's stayed home and not really been motivated. And so I love this movie because not only is it hilarious and so well written, the awkward dialogue is some of the best awkward dialogue I've ever seen. But also, it's so real with two people who really need to not only grow with each other, but grow as individuals in order to be the best versions of themselves for whoever they end up with.
Yeah.
So I've seen this movie a bunch of times, especially because it's on Netflix. So anytime I want a real comfort movie for the last 6 years, I've put it on. I love Always Be My Maybe so much. I love both of the leads. I think they're brilliant writers, great comedians, and I'm so glad that you watched it again this week. I hope you're a big fan of it too.
I am. Like I mentioned before, my wife and I watched it around the time that it came out. I have been an Ali Wong stand-up fan for years. I love her stuff. She cracks me the fuck up. And I love Randall Park as well. I'm a big fan of his. I didn't watch Fresh Off the Boat all that much, but my wife did, and I really like him in just about every movie that he's been in, especially The Interview with James Franco and Seth Rogen, where he plays Kim Jong-il. Absolutely hysterical.
He was also in Trainwreck. Randall Park's been in a bunch.
I never saw Trainwreck. I don't like to support Amy Schumer.
I don't either anymore, but Trainwreck was funny. Bill Hader was great in it.
I heard Bill Hader was great.
It's actually a funny movie, but you don't need to watch it.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch it now. Either way, but yes, this movie, this was the second time, similar to you with my pick this week, V. I invited my wife to watch it with me, but she was still recovering from a procedure and didn't want to come upstairs, so I watched it on my own, and I laughed so much. The cameo, absolutely hysterical. There are so many moments in that sequence when they're at the restaurant that I had tears streaming down my face. I think it was after he takes the bite and then hears the animal that he's eating, he's like, "I'm sorry," and then goes right back to it. That was great. And then when Marcus says something to him and he laughs, he's like, like there was just this weird, like,
fake.
I wish we could, I wish I could say who it was, but. And then when he mentions the price of it and how it's less than a residual for one of his big Hollywood movies, like that just completely killed me. So overall, beyond just that moment, and then of course watching Vivian Bang as Jenny completely fawn over this cameo character was hysterical. But overall, the movie's great. It definitely has that, where it's going to end up sort of situation going for it. And there's nothing wrong with that, just similar to every other rom-com. Now, granted, mine is a little bit different, even though we don't spoil things here.
Well,
but
you know where it's ended up because they tell you the first moment of the movie.
That's very true. Very, very true. Yeah,
it is different.
It is. Yeah, and the fact that Ali Wong and Randall Park were at the helm of writing Always Be My Maybe just makes it so much more organic and so much more hilarious than I think it would have been had somebody else written it. But yeah, absolutely thumbs up. It is certainly one of my new favorite rom-coms. I'll absolutely watch it again, and I love me some Ali Wong. Big fan.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Yes, and maybe you can own it on DVD or Blu-ray at some point as well.
I would add it to my collection. Yeah,
Great.
absolutely. It's
Okay.
definitely an ownable rom-com. I have maybe 20 out of the entire collection of my physical media of rom-coms, and I certainly wouldn't mind adding more, but I know Netflix rarely does physical copies of their products, so
which is
maybe
lame.
one day we'll get one.
And yes, you're right about that stupidly expensive dinner. And I love that.
Oh, yeah.
Marcus is like,
oh, I'll
spent
pay for my half.
thousands of dollars on this dinner and we're still hungry. That's
Yeah,
so
that was
real.
great.
But yes,
I love when
there's
they drop the planes like flavor of Caesar salad.
well, and then it's like, here's a steak and here's some headphones. And Marcus goes, what are the headphones for? So you can listen to the sounds of the animal that you're eating. So you hear mooing
So
coming out of the
hilarious.
headphones.
Yeah.
So great.
And then dessert is like sugar bubbles or some stupid shit like that. It's like, oh my god! And that's the funny thing is there are places like this that exist.
I've
like if you watch Chef's
been
Table,
to places
you know,
like that, and they are so
Yeah.
dumb.
it's like, oh, I'm gonna give you a fork, but all you got to do is crack this piece of chocolate open, and there's like 16 pieces of confetti that are falling out, but they're edible. And you're like, ooh, how much fun! So great.
I love experimenting with food or eating high-end food. It can be very fun and it can be very delicious, obviously. But this whole thing that I leave hungry drives me crazy.
Yes, especially for the price you're paying.
Especially for the price. So Marcus called it out, and it made me very happy. Well, I'm so glad to hear that you love this film as well. Some people I know have seen it, others haven't. I feel like it fell a little bit under the radar, especially because it came out right before COVID. It's on Netflix. It didn't have a theatrical release. It's just one of those films that could be lost in the shuffle because it is a streaming movie, which is one of the reasons why I definitely wanted to make sure and pick it for the podcast.
Yeah, no, great choice. I think both of our picks are great choices to get us back into the swing of things.
I totally agree, and unfortunately I don't have too much trivia, but I do have a couple pieces of information. Not only was a lot of this movie filmed in San Francisco, a big portion of it was actually also filmed in Vancouver for production cost reasons.
Really?
6 weeks was filmed in Vancouver, 2 weeks were filmed in San Francisco.
Interesting. So a lot of exterior San Francisco shooting more than interior.
Exactly, and it is
that's
absolutely San Francisco for those exterior shots. I recognized many places that they were, which was great.
Oh,
They
yeah.
were filming on beautiful days in San Francisco. And the other piece of trivia that I wanted to share was that Ali Wong was adamant that she wore glasses the entire time as Sasha. Because
Really?
she said so many rom-coms has the girl or the woman starting off wearing glasses, and then there's this makeover montage where, she lets her hair down or straightens it and takes off her glasses, and ta-da, she's beautiful.
Yeah.
And so she wanted to make sure that the glasses stayed on because she insisted that not only were they absolutely a part of Sasha, but she was beautiful with them. And I love that message.
Oh, yeah. No, it's Ali Wong is hot with glasses. And she wears glasses in general, so
And
that's
she
great.
wears glasses in general, exactly. And
Yeah.
as two people who wear glasses, we are pretty adamant that you can be hot with them.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I mean, neither of us are as hot as Ali Wong, but the statement
for sure.
stands.
Yes.
And so that is Always Be My Maybe. Given that it was produced by Netflix, I don't have a budget or, of course, any box office for it. But the good news is that that's where you can watch it.
That's where you can watch it.
And there is one more thing I wanted to mention just for those people who live in San Francisco. There is one point where Marcus says, I'm just going to go down to the zoo and see the albino alligator. That is a legendary alligator. He was at the California Academy of Sciences for a very long time when I was growing up. I've seen that, when he was alive. I saw that alligator many times. He was albino, and that is a legend of San Francisco. He's an icon. Anybody who grew up in the 80s and 90s knew of that alligator at the California Academy of Sciences. He was very cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, so Marcus mentioning that was actually true to form for San Francisco.
Very cool.
Yeah. So that is Always Be My Maybe. Please go watch it. And like I said, skip the trailer. Just go ahead and take our word for it that it's great.
Absolutely. I am not a trailer watcher anymore, and I am glad I never actually saw a trailer for this. So when the cameo did happen for the first time when I saw this movie, I completely lost it.
Awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. And so many people this year have been telling me about Sinners and how I was so right that, yes, the trailer completely gave the movie away. And I was like, that's exactly what we were talking about, how frustrating it was. And they had seen it before we talked about it on the podcast. But yes, it's so frustrating when a trailer spoils such a crucial part of a movie.
It really is very upsetting, and I have started leaving the theaters, especially when I went to the movies last week. I ended up leaving because the new Conjuring trailer started, and then I came back into the theater, and then there was a brand new Weapons trailer, and I don't want to see any more of either of those movies. I just want to see the movies.
Yes.
So I am trying to figure out a way for me to skip all the trailers and then just go right into the movie, and I think the sweet spot is 27 minutes after start time. So that's when I start going back into the theater, and that's when the movie's about to start.
It depends on the chain. I know Cinemark that I go to, it's always about 20. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, but you're right. For Regal and AMC, it's closer to 27 to 30.
Yep, Regal, they really like to draw it out.
Yeah, they do. But Netflix doesn't have any ads. Well, if you pay for that tier at least. So you can get right into the movie Always Be My Maybe as soon as you push play. So those are our rom-com picks for this week for our return. Thank you all so much for coming back with us. Please remind all your friends and family that we are back as well. And John, would you watch 500 Days of Summer with your grandma?
I don't know if Grandma would have liked it. I think she would have given it a shot because I'm a fan, but yeah, I guess overall in general I would watch it with my grandma. I'd do it like one time, see what she thought.
I feel like my mom and her sisters and my mom's mom would have loved this movie.
Yeah.
It's definitely up their alley. It's a drama. There's no sex in it.
Yeah, there you go. And V, would you watch Always Be My Maybe with your grandmother?
Totally. It's hilarious. There's one funny sex scene in there that doesn't show anything. It's totally acceptable for anybody over the age of like 15.
Totally. Agreed.
Awesome. So those are our rom-coms this week for our return. And I meant to ask you when we were talking about 500 Days of Summer, are you more of a fan of Zooey Deschanel or Emily, her sister?
Ooh, well, I would have to say Zoe because I've actually never watched an episode of Bones, and I don't think I've seen anything that her sister Emily is in.
Okay.
But beyond that, I had the pleasure of doing season 5 of New Girl at Fox and spending time with Zooey Deschanel. So I would likely have to lean with Zooey Deschanel, and she was absolutely fantastic, super sweet to me. She had just given birth to one of her babies. She was in and out of set a lot for good reason, but overall, getting to work with her on New Girl was certainly a treat.
Is she as tiny as she seems to be?
Oh, yeah. Oh, she's very small.
Okay. I love the show Bones, and so I'm more of a fan of Emily Deschanel. And Zoe is a little more kooky for me, so Emily was always some... But I think they're both extremely talented.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I had totally forgotten to ask that when we were talking about your movie, so I wanted to jump in.
That's totally fine.
All right.
It's fine.
So now that we have discussed 500 Days of Summer and Always Be My Maybe, let's go ahead and let our audience know what we're doing next week.
Yeah.
I think this is a perfect summer topic.
I agree.
Great. Do you want to dive in since your movie comes first?
Oh, all right. Let's do it. I chose a movie from 1953, produced by Walt Disney Pictures. This is the animated version of J.M. Barrie's Peter Pan. If you'd like to follow along, you can watch it on Disney+. I have it on every format. So I'm just going to have to choose which format I want to watch it on. I've literally watched this movie less than 3 weeks ago, so I will be watching it for probably the 5th time of 2025. I watched this movie
my God.
very similarly to Jungle Book and Robin Hood. I watch this movie a lot. It is a comfort movie. I'll fall asleep to this movie. I have the soundtrack on vinyl, similar to Robin Hood and Jungle Book and Mary Poppins, etc. I love this movie, so I'm very excited to break it down and bring it to our audience, especially if they haven't seen it in a handful of years. Like, I feel like a lot of our audience, including UV, have.
At least 20 for me.
Oh, I don't know how that's even possible. But yeah, that is what I'm doing, and V, I'm curious what you're doing to accompany my pick of Peter Pan.
Well, because we are doing a Peter Pan-themed episode, I thought it was only appropriate to choose my favorite version of this story, which is the 1991 live-action classic starring Dustin Hoffman and Robin Williams, This
Yeah.
is Hook.
Hell yeah.
Hook, give us the hook. Hook. That's such a good song.
I haven't seen Hook in about 2 years. I have it on VHS, and that was one of Amy's choices when we went through our VHS collection while she was recovering downstairs in our living room after her procedure. Hook was one of her picks, so
Yes.
I will likely watch the VHS copy of that.
Yet again, winning with your wife when it comes to my taste in film.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So unfortunately, Hook is not streaming anywhere, but you can rent it.
And it's worth every penny.
It really is. So I'm excited to get into that, especially seeing it from an adult's perspective. Ooh, I have so much more insight into Robin Williams' character.
Definitely.
So please tune in for that next Wednesday when we drop that episode. And until then, thank you all so much for rejoining us. We are so happy to be back. And we continue to be on social media at Movies You Miss Pod on all the relevant social media sites. Let us know if you have any requests for us for the rest of the year. We are always happy to hear requests from our audience or any feedback or questions that you have for us. Always excited to converse with any of you. And until next week, now that we're back, we are going to finish with how we always finish here at Movies You Miss Podcast, with film as a form of art, and in art, every opinion is valid, except if you think
Summer's the villain of the story.
yes! Or Tom.
Or Tom.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much, and until next week, bye-bye.
Cheers, everybody.